Here on World 5, we've looked at weird satellite Google Earth images. We've looked at crazy facts about space. We've even looked at planets that might be habitable. But now it's time to dig a little deeper and get more concentrated. Mars, known as the Red Planet, has been a subject of great scrutiny for a long time. That's because things have been found on it. Join us as we have a look at some of the strangest objects found on Mars. The face. It was 1976 when NASA's Viking 1 orbiter kind of made a little bit of history. A discovery of what looks like a face on Mars was so exciting that it got reported on television and was later documented in books. NASA, however, quickly debunked this so-called discovery and said that the face was likely made from shadows and light. However, that didn't stop the public from believing that this was some kind of sign from the aliens. Some even claimed that it was an alien-built monument, and others even saw a young version of Elvis Presley. Now, before you go getting your hopes up that this could be a sign from aliens, NASA did take another image in 1998 and confirmed that it was just an optical illusion. The face on Mars is still one of the most classic pictures that was ever taken by NASA. A wild spoon. Things are getting a little bit more interesting. That's because a 10-centimeter long floating spoon was recently found on Mars, and space enthusiasts were in awe. I mean, who knows? Maybe aliens are out there watching Emerald or some kind of cooking show and have become cultured enough to know how to use cutlery. However, like before, NASA would step in and debunk the spoon, claiming that the object was most likely just a rock that was shaped by the wind. Mars really needs to stop teasing us and making us hungry. Assorted Cutlery. Now, if a floating spoon isn't enough, people also spotted random pieces of cutlery in the image that was posted by NASA. This included a cheese grater and chopsticks, objects that were reported by space fanatics. But scientists state that what the people are seeing is just the result of pareidolia, a case of seeing everyday objects in random places. Now, as much as we'd like to believe that aliens eat cheese, I mean, really, why shouldn't they? Because it's delicious. There's probably no real evidence of cutlery on Mars. Marshenge. But don't give up hope just yet about objects being on Mars, because things are getting more and more interesting. Everyone has probably heard of Stonehenge, and as it turns out, alien hunters have managed to track down a series of stones that were arranged in a circle, and they appear to be very much similar to the British Stonehenge. They named the rocks Marshenge. But is it really the work of aliens, or just a random positioning of a few stones on a planet? Scientists have not yet completely debunked the case, although they do note that it could be a result of a natural process. Nigel Watson, who authored the UFO Investigations Manual, also noted that they could be cast by earthquakes on the planet, otherwise known as Marsquakes. And yes, that is a real term. A pyramid. On May 7th of 2015, an image of a pyramid on Mars hit the internet. So imagine that you find things like a spoon and other cutlery that could possibly confirm aliens actually living on the planet. Well, according to a few conspiracy theorists, the perfectly shaped pyramid could be a sign of an ancient civilization. And as it turns out, there's not just one. There's two pyramids formed in a perfect shape. Space enthusiasts had a question for NASA. And the question is, why is that tiny rover driving around for microbes of life when a huge 5-floor pyramid is just a mile away? NASA has responded saying that the pyramids are actually volcanic rocks that broke into a pyramidal shape. So what do you think it is? A sign of ancient civilizations, or just some random red planet rocks? Alien skull or Bigfoot? Now, that last title is not a joke. People are really wondering whether a recent object coming from one of NASA's images is either an alien skull or that of Bigfoot. Sounds like a pretty huge difference, right? Well, apparently not, because there are a lot of YouTube videos out there that make it a point to out every secret that NASA's been hiding from us about outer space. While some of them claim that the skull is obviously alien in nature, they also question whether it could be the remains of a Sasquatch or even a bizarre Martian creature. NASA hasn't yet debunked these questions, and that leaves many conspiracy theorists to believe that these YouTube channels are onto something. Could we possibly be getting closer to finding alien life on Mars? Barack Obama's face. Now, before you question this one, it's actually a real thing. Well, sort of. When it comes to weird objects that have been found on Mars, this one is really one of the most hilarious so-called discoveries yet. In 2005, NASA's Spirit rover apparently came across the image of Barack Obama's face planted in the Mars landscape, and the public was just as confused as the both of us right now. You see, there's this rock that, according to several people, might just look like Barack Obama, and if you don't believe it, have a look and decide for yourself. And if you can't see it, maybe zoom in a little bit. There's apparently a head that slightly resembles a face, and some claim that this head is in fact a full statue, but buried from the shoulders down. So why is it that we've yet to find out? Apparently having statues on Mars is nothing unusual. So tell me, what do you see in the picture? Is it a tribute to Obama by the aliens, or just simply a regular Mars rock without any other meaning? A scorpion and a hut. We decided to add these two together because they're coming from the same image. NASA's Curiosity rover took a picture of what looks like a scorpion in the top right corner, and some kind of tiny barracks in the top left. The scorpion is said to be sitting on top of a large rock, and you can even see its tail, right? But some speculate that this is just rocks combined with a terribly pixelated image. But others claim that this is one of the first sights of mammal life in outer space. And now on to the hut. If you zoom in on the bottom left corner, you're going to notice a weird-looking sculpture on the ground. Famous alien hunter Scott Waring claims that these are huts that are used by the Martian women. The complete walls do appear to be missing, but you can clearly see a roof along with some of the structure. Again, experts claim that these are all just rocks, but hopeful space enthusiasts firmly believe that there is more to these NASA images. A jelly donut. Who doesn't love a good jelly donut? Well, apparently this is something that not even aliens can resist. And really, who can blame them? NASA's Opportunity rover took a picture of what looks like a jelly donut, and it even had a red tint to it, looking totally believable. The question on my mind, however, is where would an alien actually get a jelly donut? And why, out of all the possible foods that they could be consuming, would they be eating jelly-filled sugar cakes? Well, as it turns out, the donut isn't real. Sorry, believers. It is in fact a rock, but the shape of it comes from one of the most hilarious things ever. NASA would go on to report that the Opportunity rover simply ran over the rock, leaving a dent and clearly seen tracks. But not even NASA can figure this one out. That is, until they've inspected the so-called donut further. This has probably been one of the biggest disappointments ever, as a jelly donut on Mars does sound like one of the most strangest objects ever found in outer space. Looks like Homer Simpson won't be flying there anytime soon. A dark lady. No, really, this tiny little woman has breasts and everything. In one picture that was taken by NASA, space enthusiasts have spotted a mysterious dark lady looking out onto the surface of Mars, and the Earth went wild at the thought of a possible creature sighting on the planet. Looking from a picture's zoom perspective, it really does look like a somewhat small statue, shaped to look like a human. Although it is understandable why people get really excited at the thought of spotting aliens in outer space, it has been confirmed that if that really is a woman, she's obviously very, very tiny, measuring only 8 centimeters or 3 inches in height. And of course, this would also confirm the tiny barracks theory, since a large creature wouldn't be able to live in it. Well, it would take an astronomer to debunk the Dark Lady by saying that it's simply yet another rock. But then again, they all say that, don't they? Here's the catch, however. Scott Waring says that a statue that tiny would be destroyed very easily by now, so it must be a living creature, right? What do you think? Is it real or just another random rock crushing the hopes of those looking for extraterrestrial life? Methane gas. Methane gas isn't really an object, but it's one of the rare proofs of an extraterrestrial life existence, so we had to put it on our list. In 2014, NASA reported a huge spike in methane gas on Mars, and the Curiosity rover drilled into the landscape, discovering water. This means that there's actually big proof that Mars could support life, or maybe it did a long time ago. On top of that, methane gas was found, and the gas is a waste only produced by living things. And get this, NASA hasn't even bothered to debunk this one yet, but have simply stated that they don't want to eliminate anything, including the potential that it could indicate life. While the methane gas is also produced by asteroid strikes, astronomers have confirmed that there haven't been any asteroid strikes found on Mars. So what does all of it mean? Could it be the result of living creatures? And when will we find out? Many do claim that Mars will be a livable place for humans, and that we could even possibly colonize it as early as the year 2025. Former President Barack Obama being one of them. He notes that private companies will most likely be able to do it well before NASA ever will, and 71% of the population who were surveyed apparently believe the same thing, saying that they expect a human to land on Mars within the next 2 decades. So the real question is, if given the option to pull up your tent stakes, along with so much being unknown and the possible existence of alien life out there, would you move to the Red Planet? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you think that it's all just phony conspiracy nonsense. Thanks for watching. 55 Cancri E. Jansen. 55 Cancri E, a planet that K Jewelers wishes they could get their hands on. This planet, otherwise known as Jansen, has gained a lot of attention in recent years. That's because of its unique elemental makeup.